Let's start this with an uncomfortable truth. Making happiness your main life goal is a bad idea. That story was sold to you early. Your parents repeated it, movies glamorized it, and social media coaches drilled it into your head until it felt like a moral obligation. Be happy. It almost turned into a religion, and yeah, you bought it. Then Monday morning shows up. The alarm goes off like a personal insult. A coffee disappoints, traffic feels like a psychological experiment, and suddenly you are annoyed and weirdly guilty just because you didn't wake up cheerful, like something's wrong with you. Welcome to the club. The truth is, constant happiness is advertising nonsense. No one lives in a permanent good mood. And chasing that idea is a perfect recipe for long-term frustration. You start judging every single day against a fantasy version of life, full of mental sunshine, effortless laughter, and everything going according to the plan. When reality kicks the door in, an annoying boss, a dumb argument, the Wi-Fi dying for the 5th time, you panic and assume your life has gone off track. It hasn't. You just believed in a stupid objective. Happiness was never meant to be a finish line. There's no moment where confetti falls and someone hands you a trophy. It works more like the weather. Some days are bright and calm. Other days are storms, wind, and emotional hail. And all of that is completely normal, necessary even. That emotional variation is what makes you grow. It shapes your personality and gives you depth. People who are happy all the time are, honestly, unbearable. You know one. And if we are being real, you probably avoid sitting next to them at family gatherings. The sooner you accept that permanent happiness is basically a myth, right up there with unicorns and fairy dust, the less miserable you will feel. When a bad moment hits, instead of spiraling into "why is this happening to me" mode, you can just accept this is part of being human. Highs and lows, certainty and doubt, great days and days where the only achievement is getting out of bed without snapping at someone before noon. Treating happiness as a goal is a bad joke, and every time you punish yourself for not being cheerful all the time, you are the punchline. Maybe you don't need to be happy 24/7. Maybe you just need to stop feeling guilty for not reaching a fantasy that was never real. And now, have you ever noticed how some people stay weirdly calm even when everything goes wrong? They lose a job, go through a breakup, watch a project collapse, and they just shrug, take a breath and say, "Well, it happens." Meanwhile, you are spiraling, emotionally flailing, wondering what you did in a past life to deserve this level of chaos. Here's the hard truth. Life doesn't get easier just because you panic. Your personal disasters will keep happening on schedule because that's not bad luck. That's life doing its thing. The real difference is how you react when the weekly disaster knocks on your door. No one enjoys getting hit by life, but it's like boxing. If you step into the ring, you have to accept that sooner or later you are going to get punched. The point isn't avoiding the punch. That's impossible. The point is knowing how to go down without turning it into a spectacle. Then standing back, fixing your posture, and giving the crowd a dry, ironic smile. That's class. Here's a simple example. You lose your dream job. Someone without emotional composure melts down, complains non-stop, and blames the boss, the company, the economy, and maybe the alignment of the planets. Someone who knows how to fall with style understands that jobs come and go. They are able to see the upside. Suddenly there's time for a personal project, or maybe the realization that the dream job wasn't actually that dreamy. It's all about perspective. You can react like a spoiled teenager, yelling at the universe for not meeting your expectations. But that kind of reaction doesn't make you deep, it makes you exhausting. The kind of person nobody invites out for a drink. When you face your mistakes and crises with calm confidence, something interesting happens. You become interesting, not because you have fewer problems, but because you stopped treating every setback like the end of the world. People who know how to fall apart with elegance understand that failure is inevitable and drama is optional. They end up lighter, ironically, even happier, precisely because they aren't obsessed with being happy all the time. So lift your head, straighten your back, and show life that if you are going to fall, you know how to do it with style. Because if you are going to fall apart anyway, you might as well do it with class. Now let's make this simple. You can choose an interesting life or a constantly happy one. You don't get both. Permanent happiness is boring in a way that should honestly be illegal. Picture a life with no conflict, no identity crisis, no terrible decisions, no embarrassing stories to tell after a few drinks. Sounds amazing, until you realize it's about as exciting as watching grass grow. Now think about the best stories of your life, the ones you actually enjoy telling. I'm willing to bet none of them involve you being calm, fulfilled, and emotionally stable. Nobody lights up talking about that peaceful week where everything went exactly right. The good stories come from chaos. They come from trips where everything went wrong and somehow became legendary. From relationships that were messy, painful, and still taught you more than years of self-reflection. From projects that crashed fast but left lessons that stuck. There's a clear pattern here. Constant happiness doesn't create stories. It doesn't build character. It doesn't lead to growth. An interesting life, by definition, is unstable. Highs and lows, wins and losses, love mixed with pain. Meaning shows up inside that emotional turbulence. Do you really think people who created great things were happy all the time? Of course not. Most artists, writers, and thinkers lived chaotic, intense, complicated lives. Exactly the kind of lives that produce something worth sharing. Now look at that balanced, well-adjusted person you know. Notice how they rarely have a truly great story. Their biggest hardship was losing internet for a few hours. Conversation over. Meanwhile, your chaotic friend with emotional baggage and questionable decisions? Endless stories. Because an interesting life and constant happiness don't fit in the same package. So if you are in a messy phase right now, full of doubts, mistakes, and existential confusion, congratulations. You might not be happy, but you are definitely living, and that's the point. Constant happiness is emotional anesthesia. An interesting life is full of color, texture, scars, and stories worth carrying. Accept the chaos. Sit with the doubts. Stop running from your disasters. They are shaping you more than any perfect phase ever could. Let's clear something up. You don't need to feel guilty for not living in emotional peace. That fairy tale version of mental balance is one of the biggest scams around. And here's an uncomfortable truth. There is a strange satisfaction in being a little restless all the time. While everyone online is selling miracle routines to eliminate anxiety and achieve monk-level calm, here's a different perspective. Maybe your constant inner noise isn't something to fix. Maybe it's something you secretly value. Think about it. Who's more interesting to talk to? The person who wakes up at 5 a.m. to meditate and never questions anything? Or the slightly neurotic one who's always wrestling with a new problem, questioning the meaning of life, the future of the world, or panicking over a late bill? Exactly. Most people prefer the second one. And there's a good chance you are that person. Living in a constant state of mood disturbance is often a sign of intelligence. People who think deeply can't move through a complex world without discomfort. Those who seem calm all the time usually aren't thinking very much. If you don't think, you don't suffer. If you think, you suffer. And if you think a lot, you are permanently unsettled. Relax, this isn't a celebration of unnecessary suffering. It's about recognizing that your anxiety has value. It fuels creativity, sharpens awareness, and pushes growth. Without it, you would probably settle into a safe, mediocre life, following the standard script and never questioning it. Restlessness forces movement. It pushes you to search for answers, change direction, and improve something, even if that something is just yourself. And here's the upside. Restless people tend to have better stories, sharper insights, and much easier time laughing at themselves. They've already accepted that life isn't neat or fair. They understand that living is a constant balancing act between joy and discomfort, certainty and doubt. And because they accept that, they are freer, more authentic. So instead of judging yourself for being anxious or unsettled, start seeing that restlessness as part of your design. Yes, it is annoying sometimes, but it's also what pulls you out of autopilot and turns your life into a full contract emotional experience. And let's be honest, who really wants a life without intensity? Now let's be blunt. If you are still upset because your life doesn't look like a Disney movie, it's time to snap out of it. Who decided you were supposed to have a flawless story, a perfect relationship, a spotless career, and amazing friends all the time? We both know the answer. The same society that loves selling impossible expectations while pretending everyone else has it figured out. Here's the freeing part. Real life was never meant to be a fairy tale. And honestly, that's a relief. Fairy tales are predictable. You know the ending before the story even starts. Everything works out, nobody really changes, and that's it. Cute? Sure. Interesting? Not even close. Real life, with its embarrassing failures, messy relationships, and crushed plans, is way more engaging. It's more like a binge-worthy series full of bad decisions, unexpected twists, and deeply flawed characters. And you are the main one. So stop blaming yourself for not living a childish fantasy. You are not a flawless hero waiting for a perfect ending. You are a complex adult, full of contradictions, mistakes, and depth. And that's exactly what makes you interesting. Your mistakes aren't proof that you failed. They are proof that you tried. Your heartbreaks don't mean you lost. They mean you were willing to risk something real. You showed up. You jumped in. You cared. Look around. Most people are busy pretending their lives are perfect online while quietly falling apart behind the scenes. The difference is they are stuck performing. You already figured out that real life, unfiltered and imperfect, is far more valuable. And be honest, we will really remember the vacations where everything went according to the plan? Probably not. What sticks are the chaotic trips. Lost luggage, terrible hotels, plans collapsing, the ones you laugh about years later. That beautiful mess is what gives life texture. So let go of the guilt about not reaching some ridiculous standard of perfection. Your life is good because it's imperfect. It's made of real moments, flawed people, and honest emotions. Not a fairy tale, even better. It's a messy drama, complicated romance, a chaotic adventure you get to star in every single day. Next time things go sideways, don't beat yourself up. Just smile a little and think, thanks life for not giving me a boring, predictable story. There is a comforting story people love to tell, that at the end of life you will feel peaceful, serene, and quietly satisfied. Let's be honest, that's a painfully boring ending. No one wants to reach their final moments thinking, wow, what a calm, emotionally balanced life I lived. That sounds more like a well-organized spreadsheet than an actual life. Lying there, surrounded by beeping machines and hushed voices, calm won't be what matters most. What you will want is intensity. You will want to think, damn, that was a ride. A life worth living leaves you exhausted, not relaxed. It leaves memories, not silence. Stories stacked so high they barely fit in your head. That means having lived the full experience. The highs and the crashes, the loves that lift you up and the ones that broke you. The brilliant choices and the terrible ones you can laugh about later. It means you didn't try to return half the experience just to stay comfortable. It means you didn't try to return half the experience just to stay comfortable. If you spent your life avoiding pain and strong emotion just to secure a peaceful ending, you missed the point. No one wants a trophy for serenity. They want to know they jumped when it mattered, took risks when they were scared, and lived even when it hurt. You will want to remember the overwhelming passion that almost wrecked you. The reckless project that probably wasn't a great idea, but made you feel alive. The chaotic trip that went wrong in every possible way and was still worth it. Too much calm is almost an existential waste. A life that is too smooth barely leaves a mark. What matters is how much emotion and experience you collected along the way. The goal isn't to arrive rested, it's to arrive worn out, overflowing with stories. Life isn't a quiet lake, it's a rough ocean, storms, massive waves, unexpected turns, and moments where you almost go under and learn how to swim. Every fall, every laugh, every heartbreak adds meaning. In the end, what will matter won't be the calm days, but the ones that shook you. The days that made you love, hate, cry, laugh fully. So when that moment comes, forget serenity. Look back at the chaos of your imperfect life and think with pride. It wasn't always easy, it wasn't always happy, but it was intense as hell, and that's what mattered.